Hello. So this video is about getting into a Cossack squat. So Cossack squat, which I'm going to show you in a second, is a challenging position to get into if you're new to it, but it's very beneficial for multiple reasons. So basically this is a Cossack squat. Now there's a lot happening here. Starting from this side, there's the ankle that's quite in a flexed position, which could be a limitation for some people. There's knee, there's this hip that is in like a very hinged position. And this leg, obviously, it being straight, it's stretching my adductors and the inner thighs. It's going to be even harder if I bring this foot into the floor. So there's a lot going on. So you're going to try to get into this, and I'll give you a couple tips on if you're feeling limited, how to prop yourself up and make it easier. So many different ways to get into it, but I would recommend starting in this position of this, basically it's called a goddess pose or horse pose or whatever you want to call that. Feet out, knees out, doing a couple of bounces here just to get a little bit into the hips. Of course, we would have warmed up a little bit before, but you can bring your hands down and you can start bending one knee as you bring yourself to one side. Now, I'll talk about this foot in a second, but that other foot, if it points up to the sky, it will be stretching more of the hamstrings. If you bring the inner edge to the floor, it's more of the adductors and the inner thighs. So let's talk about this heel, because for a lot of people, coming down onto the heel will be very uncomfortable and you will find yourself falling down. So a couple of solutions to this. One, similar to a deep squat, you can bring an elevation underneath you. So that example of that could be a block, bringing it onto the heel. So I would in fact recommend that you start here, just so you get comfortable in this position. Notice how my knee is shifting forward. Here, heel is on a nice and solid surface, and I'm sitting here. If this is already challenging for you, this is where you are. Stay here for the remainder of this exercise. Now, you could also obviously bring this down. So maybe if this is too thick, putting a couple of blocks or like a books or one book underneath to bring yourself a little bit lower. Now, regardless of where you are with that, even if you're on the block, it would actually be really nice to try the following, and I would highly recommend it. So you could find a piece of solid furniture, whether that's a chair or a couch or a shelf. So I'm going to use this chair here for a second to show you what's happening. So this chair is actually not a good example just because it's not solid, but for the sake of this video, I'll show you. So ideally you want something that's not going to move, because this is going to move. So a couch would be better, or like a shelf, something low that you can reach for. But just for demonstration purposes, I'll use this as an example. So I'm going to come into, show you this side, that position. Again, this is not relevant if you can bring yourself down and not fall. But if you're having trouble in this range, you're going to grab this solid surface and bring yourself, try to work on bringing this heel down any amount. If it's all the way to the floor and you can handle that, that's ideal. Again, I'm using this as a support to not fall, because otherwise I might fall, right? So this is your support. And now we're just working on this range, bringing this heel to the lowest that you can. Even if it's just a little bit lower, perfect. And you can kind of pulse in and out. You can pulse in, lower, come out, using my arm for support, especially as I go down. And now when you come up, you could use your arm to pull yourself up, totally fine, but try to use it the least amount possible. See if you can more use the strength of your lower body, the ankle, to lift yourself up and down. Up and down. And then I would also recommend holding it for about 30 seconds, wherever that is, if it's halfway or all the way down. And switching side. So I'll show you the other side because I want to talk about this other foot as well. So going to the side. Now if you look at this foot, generally it's easier for people to have this foot pointed up. So as you do this exercise, you could just bring that heel down, let that foot point up, and do your thing. Again, do a couple pulses first, in and out, and then hold it wherever you can. You could experiment with bringing this foot down as you do that. It's going to be a different sensation on the straight leg. So play with it, explore, be curious about where it's stretching, what your limitations are. What do you want to work on? What's challenging for you? A lot of this is individual exploration. So again, using the support to go however deep you can, holding that for however long. And then making your way out. If this was challenging for you, I highly, highly recommend working on it as much as you can. If this is easy and you're already onto the floor, then we can move on to more advanced stuff later. Thanks for watching again. Cheers.